Hey guys, Magenta's back here today again with another future card Buddyfight deck profile, and this time it will be on my Legend World Fairy King Oberon deck. So Fairy King Oberon has been around for a really long time. So before I talk more about it and why it became popular recently, let's talk about the card itself first. Okay, so let's get on with. So this is the deck itself. My buddy monster is Warrior Emperor Red Arthur. It's a new card, it's a new dual card, Hero World, Legend World, size 2 monster with transform. Basically, it acts as your item as well, which is pretty good because item and defense is always really good because they have to beat 5k before they can attack you. Yeah, so makes this deck pretty good. 5k power, 5k defense, 2 crits. Pay 1 gauge when it's core cost. Transform cost, pay 1 gauge, pay 1 life, and return up to 1 item on your field to your hand. Basically, it has essentially it has equipment change. Yeah. When this card attacks, if there are a total of 4 or more different cards with hero or superhero in your drop zone, this card gets double attack. So basically, 4 or more cards is not that hard to reach. Basically, it's guaranteed double attack, unless it's in a really early game, like when you're starting first. But otherwise, it's a 5k 2 crits with a double attack. And imagine your item getting that. It's pretty strong. Okay, so strong card. Anyway, not gonna talk about it now. So Fairy King Oberon, key card of the deck, size 3 monster from HBT02, core cost of 2 gauge, 9k power, 2 crits, 7k defense. His skill: if there are 7 or more hero and fairy in your drop zone, nullify the abilities of all monsters on your opponent's field. This ability cannot be nullified. Okay, basically, first of all, 4 copies of Oberon, no questions asked. It's a really strong ability, nullifies abilities of all monsters on your opponent's field. Basically, if you're up against like Jackknife, no Soul Guard, that's pretty good. No Soul Guard for Jackknife, basically 1 hit and the Jackknife is dead. And if you're up against like cards like maybe Sun Dragon deck, basically you're trying to kill you off with Barber Smasher. So Barber Smasher's effect can be nullified because it doesn't have that skill anymore. And then if it's Bow Sorcerer cannot restand itself because its ability is nullified. So it doesn't pay 1 gauge and restand itself and hit you over and over again. So this card is the key to beating a lot of decks out there. Yeah, so pretty good card, 4 copies, and this is why this deck build itself has been really popular recently. Okay, so moving on to next size 3, 4 copies of Valkyrie, Scout the Lamentor of the Future, shiny version here. 7k power, 3 crits, 5k defense, in case you couldn't see. Core costs 2 gauge and put the top card of the deck into this card, Soul, Move, and Soul Guard. So really good to core and tank early. And skill is really good to keep on plussing you because of cards that we run, like this other card in the corner here, which we'll talk about later, that will plus you when you discard it. So essentially it's like casting a spell, sort of. Yeah, you may discard a card from your hand. If you do, look at the top 3 cards of your deck from your deck or your opponent's deck, and then put them back into order and draw a card. You may only use this ability once per turn. So that's all there is to it, but it's pretty strong. Alright, so moving on, we just skip right on to the size zeros, which make this card work. 4 copies of this Valkyrie, All-Knowing Widow, 2 copies new art, 2 copies old art. Couldn't decide which one is cooler looking. They're both pretty sick. Alright, let's just look at a new one because the foil is really cool. Alright, 3k power, 1 crit, 1k defense. Stats don't really matter for this guy because in the end it's just a discard fodder. When this card is discarded from her hand, put a top card of the deck into your gauge and draw a card. And when you combine it with this size 3 monster skill, essentially using Dragon Ball sleeves because I couldn't find Legend World ones, and Dragon Ball is my favorite world. Whoa! Alright, anyway, the skill goes, when you discard a card, let's say you discard this Valkyrie, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and then you can reshuffle them. In this case, they're all the same, so it doesn't really matter. So just for sake of demonstration purpose. So its skill allows you to draw a card, and its skill allows you to put the top card of your deck into your gauge and draw a card. So basically you're drawing 2 cards and putting a card into your gauge. So you just I mean, if your opponent is really picky, then you just have to put the card you don't want on top and then use its effect first, put it into the top of the deck, put that card into your gauge and then draw 2 cards. And then you're getting 2 cards, drawing 2 and charging 1 by just discarding this card fodder, which is meant to be discarded. It's pretty strong, so this is how this deck builds up an advantage early game. Yeah, so 4 of that as our size 0s. So since we're started on the size 0s, let's just continue on the size 0s. 2 copies of another Valkyrie, Rota, the Caller of the Blizzard. All hero in field other than this card gets 1k power. When this card is discarded from your hand, pay 1 gauge, and if you do, destroy a size 2 or less monster on your opponent's field. Basically, you can use it as a discard mechanic. Just to have something to discard and just to something to destroy your opponent's monster with. Alright, next. 2 copies of Ares, Star Sentinel, Ares. When this card is discarded from your hand, pay 1 gauge, destroy an item or spell on your opponent's field. So pretty good as well. And basically it's the item or spell counterpart to Rota. Yeah, so just 8 discard folders, because if it's too many, they will end up as too many of those, they will end up as dead cards in our hand, and that's bad. Alright, moving on to the size 2s. So 4 copies of our Buddy monster here, which acts as our item. Nothing to it, basically you can treat it as running 4 items. Then next, 3 copies of Valkyrie, Brilliant Brunhilder. Alright, 5k power, 2 crits, 3k defense. Pay 1 gauge, put the top card of the deck into this card, so move and soul guard. Basically you can call it to tank, in addition to the size 3 Valkyrie. And lastly, we have these 4 copies of this Hazel Emperor Jailer All-King, L-King, whatever you call him. 4k power, 2 crits, 5k defense, size 2 monster. The skill, act, put the top 3 cards of your deck into your drop zone. If you do, destroy an item or spell on your opponent's field. You may only activate this ability once per turn. Basically, this card synergizes well with Oberon because you can burn your deck to fill up the drop zone faster for Oberon's skill. And secondly, item or spell destruction is really good, especially against the deck that this guy was made for, Executioners, because they rely heavily on that the set spell to give them advantage. Because pay 3 gauge and then you can get a +2 just at the cost of 3 gauge. It's pretty strong, so you just aim at the set spell, just keep on burning that. Yeah, 4 copies. It's a pretty good card, especially since it's a 2-in-1, it's win-win situation, because you can call out your Oberon early and have his skill. Yeah, that's it. So moving on to actual items, 3 copies of Divine Sword, Galatine. So what does Galatine do? 3k power, 2 crits, skill, counter, Calling Voice of the Sword. During your attack phase, if you have 4 more different heroes in your drop zone, equip this item from your hand. You may only use this card. You may only use this skill once per turn. Basically, you're going to equip yourself with your Buddy monster, you're going to attack twice. Then during your attack phase, after you're done, use this. Equipment change allows him to return this to your hand, and then you can attack once more. That's just for the additional offensive push of 2 crits. Sometimes you need it. Yeah. And then the next turn, if you want to equip this back, you can equip pay 1 gauge, pay 1 life, and return an item to your hand, and then you can repeat the same process. Yeah, so that's one of the combos of the deck. That's our items. Next, moving on to spells. 2 copies of Fury of Odin. Pay 1 gauge, discard a card from your hand, destroy size 1 or less monsters on your opponent's field. Pretty straightforward, and it allows you to discard as well. So alternatively, there are other deck builds that run this, what's that called? Damage control. Yeah, damage control is pretty strong, but I don't like that because it's just a spell, man. I mean, it gets destroyed, and then you're like, what if you're prepared to just use your damage control and then you charge away your like Holy Grail, and then they just destroy that card. Anyway, I don't really like that, so I run Fury of Odin, which works pretty well because a couple of decks like 72 Pillars that has spammy size 1 monsters, so 2 copies is pretty good. I wouldn't say not pretty good, I mean 2 copies is just right. Yeah, that's right. So moving on to the counter spells, 3 copies of Illusion of the Void Deity and 3 copies of Heroic Spirit, both to protect our Oberon or your other hero cards. First of all, this is Drago Energy Clone. Give your hero plus 3k power and defense and counter attack. And this next card is kind of like Dragonborn. Just size 3 monster on your field. For this turn, if that monster will be destroyed, gain 1 life, and that card remains on the field. So, Oberon Protectors, 6 copies. Alternatively, you can just run 4 of each and make that 8, but I make space for other things in my deck. Alright, next, 3 copies of Light of Guidance. This card cut from your hand. Put a top card of your deck into your gauge, and the next time damage will be dealt to you this turn is reduced to 0. So it's like a shield, works on Barber Smasher and Vanishing Death Hole. Pretty good, and it's a discard mechanic. Next we have Holy Grail, which is our vanilla discard. Not vanilla discard, did I say that? Which is our vanilla shield, just nullify the attack if you do not have a monster in the center. Yeah, 4 copies, 7 shields, pretty good. And then lastly, for our spells, we run 2 copies of this super flexible card known as Darkness Rune, which is new. Darkness Rune, cost of 1 life, choose and use one of the following 3 options, listen to it. Okay, first, put the top 2 cards of your deck into your gauge. I mean, it's a little worse than Dragonic Charge and other similar cards like that. However, basically 1 life is for you to have the choice of 3 cards in 1, okay? So that's the first. Next is put a soul from a card on your opponent's field into his or her drop zone. Basically, a card means any card. You can you can use it on stupid items like Danger World Ace. Yeah, and it's pretty good because it works on what's that? Zodiac, because Zodiac just throws their they just stack the stupid souls and then they just make it super hard to kill it. Yeah, so this is the card. And lastly, destroy size 1 or less monster on your opponent's field, which is not really used because we have Fury of Odin, but still can be used as a Dragonic Thunder for 1 life. Pretty good. 2 gauge. 2 gauge, 1 soul, or destroy a monster at the cost of 1 life. And lastly, it's a really good card. If you play Hearthstone, this would be equivalent of Flame Strike. 3 copies of King's Wave, Caliban Grief. You may only cast this card 4 or more different hero in your drop zone. Different hero, which is not that hard because we have monsters, items, and spells, which are all hero. It's an impact card with counter. Basically, you don't have to use it in final phase. Can use it as a spell. And spell nullifiers don't work on it because they only nullify spells. That's right. Pay 2 gauge, destroy all monsters and spells on the field. So how does this work? When your opponent attacks you, pay 2 gauge, destroy everything on his field. End of the story. And if you have like cards like Oberon, which doesn't have Soul Guard, and you want to protect it, you can use your spell like Illusion of the Void Deity. And it would be great if you have like your Valkyrie with Soul Guard. I mean, so you have a soul inside, and then you just bomb everything, and your Valkyrie stays because it has Soul Guard. Yeah, pretty good. And destroy spells, so it doesn't affect us because we don't run set spells in this deck. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So yeah, just call out your Oberon and equip your items and use the other item, and there you have it. That's your full combo right here. 10 damage, 4 damage here, double attack, and 4 damage here, double attack, and lastly you can switch out for this. And if you need that extra 1 damage, you can call your side zeros out as well. Yep, so that's it guys for the deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like down and show me some support. If you're new to my channel, subscribe if you'd like to see more Buddyfight deck profiles, card reviews, stuff like that. Yep. Goodbye, take care, see you in the next video.